Just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Bloke in a Bar. I'm here with the big fella. Looking good, bro. You're looking big. Keith Galloway, what's going on, brother?
Cheers, mate. Good to be here.
Mate, I'm feeling extremely unfit right now. Fuck, what do you... Obviously go to the gym and everything like that. Have you ever considered, like, going into all that kind of bodybuilding shit or not really? You just love it?
Mate, my body's not that good. Just,
It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all smoke and mirrors.
mate, I enjoy going to keep it fit. Didn't want to be one of those blokes that just sort of let themselves go, you know? So I've just tried to keep fit as I've retired.
Mate, honestly, it's actually... This is the first time since I've retired where I've struggled with my weight a bit. Because I've been working so much, and you're totally right. Because like you have this image of your head of what you look like and what you should look like. When you let yourself go post footy, it kind of impacts you more, I reckon.
Yeah, mate, for sure. Like I go through phases, mate. I might train hard for a little bit, then you know the Christmas period's always a bit hard. You sort of eating a bit more, drinking. But yeah, mate, I don't know. Since to be honest, mate, when I played, I didn't really train that hard or in the gym and that sort of stuff. But since I've retired, I've enjoyed it. So it's something I do.
So how's it been? Obviously, you know, you watched a little bit of footy last year, and you can kind of see and feel where the Tigers club is at the moment. They seem like they're rebuilding. What's it been like as, you know, one of the most recognisable names from the club to view that? Yeah,
well, obviously, mate, it seems like we're rebuilding. You know, we've changed coaches a few times in the past sort of 5 years. So I think, you know, unfortunately we missed out on the semi-finals last year, but you know, there's a few good young players coming through, and you know, hopefully if they stick with Madge and the players sort of buy into everything, hopefully go a bit better this year, you know.
And so for yourself, did you watch Origin at the end of the year?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
What did you think of that?
That was no good, eh?
Mate, you've got a blue shirt on, and I got a Queensland shirt on. I'm a Queenslander, bros.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I guess I've had a lot of backs on the show, but I feel like especially in the forwards, we've seen guys like Payne Haas come through. We've seen these really big. Obviously, they came through when we were playing. Yeah. But as a forward, do you see those boys and be like, "Fuck, that's just crazy." The athletes that are coming through.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, mate, he's a perfect example. That Payne Haas, massive man, and just moves. He's quick.
Yep.
It just seems like this generation coming through are bigger and quicker and stronger.
Absolutely, bro.
It's just the game's just changed, and the game looks that much quicker with all these new rules. And mate, these players seem to just be, you know, going really well in it. And you know, like I've seen all these new rules, and to be honest, I'd hate to play under these new rules. So
yeah, I like the big fellas in the middle. When those new rules came in, I was like, bruh, they already have to work hard enough as it is.
Yeah.
But it's just what's crazy is, and it was when we were coming through, it was like, I'm the small guy, so I'll win fitness. You're the big guy, so you'll fucking wrestle me in wrestling. Payne Haas wins fitness. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's so weird that, you know, we used to have these roles that we played, bro. I feel like these boys now coming through, they've got everything.
Oh, mate, yeah. I don't know how they're training or what they're doing, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, just, mate, you know, watching the Origins and seeing some of the big fellas in that go at it, mate, they're just animals, eh?
100%, bro. 100%. Well, even like a Junior Paulo, like his ball playing skills and that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, young fella, you grew up in the St. George area, did you?
Yeah, grew up in the St. George area. Yeah, so I sort of supported the Dragons as a kid, but I didn't really go through the grades there or anything like that. I sort of went over the bridge to Cronulla. Okay,
and so was it from a very young age? Was it always footy, or did you play any other sports around?
No, it was pretty much always footy. Eh?
Yeah,
I think it was 6 or 7.
Wow,
it was pretty much my bringing, you know. I loved it.
Loved it. And so did you have an older brother or anything that did it? Or
yeah, I had an older brother. He played, and obviously probably done it because he did, and yeah, I just lived and breathed it as a kid. And
what's your first memory of footy that you can like actually remember? Or just the one that
actually, I said I went for the Dragons as a kid, but early on, I used to love Paul Harrigan.
You know, because you fucking loved it,
I loved it, eh? So I remember Friday nights watching him, especially when they're playing Manly, you know, him and Spud Carroll.
You love that shit?
At each other, yeah. that was probably my first rugby league memory, and you know, the Chief was probably my first hero.
Mate, he was... what I think is so good about him is he's this animal on the field, but he's so like polite and shit. You know what I mean? You would think they're going to be these crazy maniacs off the field.
Yeah. Well, that's like most blokes, you know. Like
100%.
You know what it's like. You've been around the game. Everyone gets, you know, if you don't know someone, everyone has these opinions of blokes on the field, but mate, pretty much 99.9% of footy players off the field are gentlemen, and they're really good good people, you know.
Absolutely. A perfect guy. I always use Petro Civoniceva. I remember when I first met him, I was genuinely intimidated because I was like, that's like Petro Civoniceva, he's a beast.
Yeah.
And he like, hey mate, how you going? Like real softly
Yeah.
spoken. I was like, what the fuck is going? Because I didn't play footy growing up. I played soccer.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't believe that this like animal, like he's pinnacle of forwards, was so softly spoken. He's actually the first grader to ever speak to me.
Yeah, I've met him, mate. Petro, he's such a gentleman too.
Yeah,
and he's obviously someone I looked up to.
Yeah,
and I met him off the field too. I met him out one night having a few drinks, and I couldn't believe how nice of a person he was.
It's crazy. So you remember? Do you remember they had a stink? How many stinks did they have, Paul Harrigan and Spud?
Oh, they just seemed like they'd go at it all the time.
Yeah.
It was they had a few fights, but it was just the shots they used to try and put on each other. You know what I mean?
Do you remember the '97 grand final?
Yeah, that's one of my. Yeah, I definitely remember that. I was cheering on Newcastle.
Do you remember where you were when you were watching that?
It would have been at home. It would have been at home. I think. Yeah. Chief was.
Beast.
Everyone talks about Joey, and rightly so, but the way Chief led that forward pack that game, man.
Oh, absolutely. No, totally. I feel like, again, Joey, incredible, incredible, but he was kind of like the Joey of the forwards. You know what I mean? Like, if his job is to dominate and get meters, and Joey's job is to tear teams apart with ball playing, I feel like, he did that very, very well.
Yeah. He was the enforcer, and everything just come off the back of him,
And it was in a time when you needed enforcers. You kind of need them nowadays, but you can get, like, for example, does Melbourne have an enforcer? Not really.
The game's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Back definitely in those games, like they used to say, forward packs win games, Forwards go forward, then everyone plays off the back of that.
100%. So Harrigan, the Chief, that was the band for you when you're growing up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. He was there. Gordon Tallis when he was at the Dragons.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He was a super sub.
Yep.
Then unfortunately he went to the Broncos.
How dare you?
That's he's one of the best ever. Tallis,
Yep.
but yeah, definitely them two, and probably them two are probably my favourite forwards growing up. Yeah.
Who is your GOAT forward? Greatest of all time forward?
Oh jeez.
Probably Chief.
Yeah. Probably Chief was he was my favourite as a kid. Probably. So mate, Sammy Burgess that year at South when they won the grand final.
Crazy.
That year. The way he played that year was unbelievable.
Absolutely. He's a
he's had to retire because of the way he played the game.
Absolutely.
Mate, everything he'd done, the shots, the runs, he was just crazy. Yeah.
Well, they reckon in his last year his shoulder was completely busted. Like deteriorating, just completely fucked, and he still was aggressive as ever. And a lot of people don't realise it's very hard to continue being that aggressive when your body's hurting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you reckon Sammy Burgess or Chief's probably your favourite all time?
Yeah, I'll probably go there. There's a few definitely in the conversation, but I'll probably go with them too.
Those two. Okay, so at what point growing up did you kind of feel like, I'm going all right here, or were you a late developer?
Those lower ages, you're playing. It's probably around junior reps age, when you start playing against players from other areas, and
the best of the best from that area, and you're going.
You know what I mean? So I sort of went through I was actually a South junior. Started St George when I was really, really young. I was at Mascot in the South comp for about 4 or 5 years. Then I went to the Cronulla comp at about 14 or 15.
Okay.
And we played Matthews Cup at Cronulla, and we actually won the comp there at Cronulla.
Oh no way!
Yeah, for a team from Cronulla to win the Matthews Cup, it's normally like the Penriths or the Parramatters or the Newcastle,
bases.
Those huge junior bases. So, and we won the Matthews Cup undefeated. So I sort of thought, we're going right here. And then,
were you always in the middle?
Yeah, back. I think I was back row back then, front row, back row.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I debuted in the back row, but it wasn't long before I was permanent front row.
Yeah. Mate, honestly, as a winger, front rowers, I just hats off to you. Seriously, I don't know fucking how you do it. Okay, so that was kind of the point where you're going, oh fuck, we won the comp here, and I'm going okay. Maybe there's something here.
Yeah, I think so. And then I played the next year up SG Ball, played really good then again. So around that age, you sort of sign your first sort of junior contract too.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you sign with the Sharks then?
Yeah, I think it would have been around that period. It would have been during Matthews Cup or something.
Okay.
It was nothing. It was probably $200 a year or whatever it was. But
my first contract was $4,000.
Yeah.
$4,000. Yeah, it was $4,000, and I went hard with my parents in my car, Honda Civic, purple Honda Civic.
Yeah.
What's weird is always when I see these young kids nowadays on what they're on, I was like, oh, back in my day, mate, I was playing NRL, I was on $25,000, and then I'm like, Well, the cunts before me were on nothing, working full-time jobs and bloody playing NRL. It's always, you know, you always get used to what you have and think it's worse than the people come after you. But then you got to realise that people have fucking come before you. Yeah. Okay, so you sign your contract. Do you remember signing the contract with the Sharks, or not really?
I do. I think I went with my parents. I don't think I had manager. Didn't have a manager back then, and then you sign it, and then it was it was next to nothing. But I think just then signing a contract with a club, you think, oh, how good's this?
Yeah,
I think we had something with Puma. I think it used to get all this Puma gear and stuff like that, and you thought, this is pretty cool.
Okay, so you signed that contract, and did you make any of the under 16, 18s?
Yeah. So I made 17 New South Wales 17s, New South Wales 19s, then Australian schoolboys, that sort of stuff.
Oh wow, how good is
Junior
that?
Kangaroos. Yeah.
Do you remember any of the boys that you've made the Australian side with that went on to play NRL?
My New South Wales 17s team, I think our whole forward pack pretty much played NRL.
Wow.
Yeah, I think who was there? Ashton Sims, Justin Paul, Sonny Bill Williams.
Wow.
Heath Lestrange, Tom Leroy Lars. I think that was our starting pack.
Tom Leroy Lars, there's a throw. He was a massive human being.
I think, and we played. That was 17s. I think we played Queensland. No, I think we smashed them like it was a.
Really?
It was a massive score. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that forward pack though, bro.
Yeah.
SBW, yourself, Tom Leroy Lars.
Yeah.
Wowee, that's and Ashton Sims. He was a gun coming through.
Yeah, mate. He played heaps of first grade. Yeah.
Was Sonny always stand out, or was he just obviously good? He played.
Oh yeah, he was. I think so. Bulldogs brought him over. I think for Matthews Cup, and no one. Obviously, he's from another country, so no one had heard of him.
And the internet.
And then he played a couple of games, and everyone's talking about, you should see this bloke at the Dogs. Should see this bloke at the Dogs. Yep. And no, he was a freak, man.
Okay.
He was pretty skinny back then. He wasn't, but he was putting shots on and running through people and everything.
Yeah. He's managed to achieve like professionally.
Yeah.
Pretty
Well,
incredible.
like that conversation we had before, he'd probably be in that too. That
one of the best forwards.
Yeah. But
on his day, man, like some of the stuff he used to do was absolutely incredible. Like, yeah. And he brought something unique to the game. Like, don't get me wrong, they were big hits. Like, you got Tony Carroll, obviously Chief and Spud. All those boys, they did big hits. But I feel like, with Sonny Bill, he kind of like packaged it up into this like exciting way that he did it. It was all kind of okay. So do you know what Tommy Leroy Lars is doing now? Have you spoken to him?
I haven't seen Tommy because I think last time I seen Tommy was probably when we retired, because we done that lap of honour, the retiring players from the NRL. So that was end of 15. Mate, knowing Tommy, you'd be in the country somewhere in one of those country towns, Tamworth or something like that. And
mate, he was a freak as well coming through.
Oh mate, he was huge.
He was at the Broncos and he was like the next fucking.
Yeah.
He was the next big thing.
Well, I think he came to the New South Wales tryouts for the 17s, and because he didn't play in the Matthews Cup and all that sort of stuff, he rocked up and everyone looked at this bloke like, how's this bloke 16 or 17 or whatever?
Okay, because you hadn't seen him before. He was up in Queensland.
He had these legs like this. He was just massive, eh?
Mate, he's a big boy. So much potential. Okay, so you make those. You make the Australian side as well. And so which year did you go straight out of school into the first grade squad?
Yeah. No, so I actually debuted at 17.
No way.
The Sharks, yeah. So
still at school.
Still at school. I was in year 12. Yeah. So it was 2003.
So how did that come about?
That pre-season, I was going into year 12, and I think it was school holidays. So they asked me and they asked my parents if I would come on the pre-season with the top squad. So I went over to New Zealand with them for like 10 days.
Did that buzz you out?
Yeah, that was. Oh, mate, I was so shy. I didn't know anyone, man.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Which player or group of players that really were like, holy shit, that's such and such,
Oh, Jason Stevens, David Peachy.
Oh, Peachy.
All those sort of blokes. And, mate, I was so young. I was so shy. I was just kept to myself the whole time. But I was in all of them, Yep. It was crazy, yeah.
Do you remember, so I'm assuming you did some training over in New Zealand?
Yeah, I did training. The culture was a bit different then. Like Chris Anderson was the coach. He was the one that brought me over. And I think that was that generation just before where you'd drink pretty. You'd pretty much drink. It was one of those pre-season things where you drink most nights.
Yep.
But you get tortured on the field the next day and all that sort of stuff.
So real. So
they'll drink hard, train hard.
Yep.
But it was it was awesome. And then so I came back, and obviously I was back at school, and Sharks weren't going. I think it was 2003, so I don't think Sharks weren't going too well. But they sort of brought me. They called me in and asked if told me I was going to make my debut, because I think I was playing like a bit of reserve grade and flag or whatever it was, and then it was like I think it was 8 games to go. It was against the Warriors.
Wow,
And the
Warriors
2003 Warriors team.
Wow,
That was
far
like
out.
Lawatiti and
Because they were in the grand final 2001, I'm pretty sure. So they had that
Yeah,
squad
yeah.
around that period, and they were feared. They were
Yeah.
crazy maniacs.
yeah, they were, man. So.
So as a 17-year-old, and you come off the bench and played in the front row or the set back
Yeah,
row?
I think it was either back row or front row. I can't remember, to be honest.
Do you remember putting that jersey on, going? And was it away in New Zealand?
No,
as well?
it was at Shark Park.
Oh,
so
thank
yeah,
God.
but yeah, mate, it was crazy. It was a massive buzz.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything any of the older boys said to you, mate? Like, just do what you do, or was there any?
Yeah. Like, they sort of like us, Jason Stevens sort of took me under his wing a bit, and the Chris Beatties and the Danny Nutleys, those sort of forwards, and yeah, I'm pretty. They said it's although it's first grade, it's another game. You just
Another
do what you
game of
do,
footy.
and
Yep.
sort of tried to ease my nerves a little bit, but to be honest, mate, once I got out there, it did feel like another game.
Yep.
Like once you get over those pre-match nerves, and
Absolutely.
once you take your first hit up or make your first tackle, you're like, oh, I've been doing this my whole life,
Absolutely. Did you feel like, I personally felt before I took my first tackle, I was like, they're going to be super strong. I'm going to get absolutely ragdolled, like these big boys. What did you feel that? And then you get tackled and be like, oh, fuck, it's actually not bad.
Oh, definitely, especially because it was the Warriors, they were a pretty big, strict, strong team, who was there? Paliasinas and the Lawatitis and the Sias, and
Yep.
you see these blokes on TV and you think, geez, they're massive. But when you're in the forwards, it doesn't take you long to sort of make a tackle or have a hit up. You know what I mean? So before you know it, I sort of
Sure, all good.
yeah.
Do you remember anything from the game at all? Anything specifically?
Not really. I think I made a fair few. I was on there for a bit, actually. I sort of remember making a fair few. I'd probably have the game somewhere, but yeah, it was. Mate, it went pretty quick. So that was a night game. I actually missed the recovery the next day. So we had recovery at 7 a.m, and I was only 17. I can't remember staying up that late because we obviously played a night game that late, and then the adrenaline.
Yeah,
couldn't sleep, and I slept through my alarm.
No way.
I went home, slept through my alarm.
So it wasn't the beers or anything. It was
I hardly drank back then.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
a pretty good boy, and then I was like, oh shit, here we go. So then I got to training like half an hour late.
Oh,
I got half my match appearance taken off me and that sort of stuff.
Oh no!
Yeah, but I've actually never been late since then. So
really,
yeah, it was a pretty good learning curve.
That's crazy. So you've never been late.
Yeah,
since
I'm pretty punctual and early.
Wow, that's funny as because people like when you wake up and you realise you're late, it's like the world's ending because you're like the boys are going to be off me, the coach is going to be off me.
Well, you know what it's like rugby league. We have to be on time. We have to be punctual, and I guess that happened to me such an early on. My first game, and they were sort of laughing about it when I got there. But it was a massive. It was a good learning curve for me.
That's funny. It took up your matches.
Yeah.
not the matches. Anything but the matches.
Mate, I think my matches was probably one matchy was probably worth probably half of what my contract was.
Yeah,
100%. It wasn't on much of a contract.
100%. Absolutely. Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Okay, so and you can continue to play that year? You stayed.
Yeah. So I actually played the last 8 games of that year.
Okay, and so that was 2003.
That was 2003. Yeah.
So what was it like going back to school?
Yeah, it was pretty. Obviously, it was a bit of fanfare. I think the media came down and did an interview, and there's a couple of write-ups in the papers and all that sort of stuff.
How good's that?
Mate, but to be honest, I was such a shy kid, man.
Really?
Yeah, I was pretty humble and shy.
So
that
you don't know what's going on.
I've never really liked the attention. So sort of
Okay, that's fucking. It's like looking back on it now. It's like you're a school kid. You know what I mean? And you're going on you're going on trips with the boys, and they're drinking beers and training. You're sitting there going, fuck, I'm 17 years old.
Yeah.
And in the forwards, when you started training with first grade? Did you immediately, was there a session or numerous sessions where you realised, fuck, this is the intensity I need to be at, especially in the forwards, man?
Yeah, that year, when I was in year, I think school holidays actually, they brought me in for a week and that sort of stuff, and obviously you do the scrimmaging and the wrestling, and fuck, you realise how intense these blokes are, you know what I mean? And the Sharks had some hard-edged forwards too, like the Nutleys and the Beatties and those sort of like Stevens. So they roughened you up and that sort of stuff. So you knew what it sort of took to
play
be there.
First grade. Okay, so you play the rest of the game, and then you start the 2014 season on the bench, and played 14 games that season. And so, did you start to really feel comfortable that year that you were, regular first grade? Or was it still taking a while?
Oh, so I was thinking 14. I think I played a bit, went back to reserve grade, and then forward again, back to first grade. So I think I was in and out a little bit, but I was sort of starting to get a few games under my belt. Yeah,
It's weird because like a lot of people from the outside looking in be like, okay, well he's second year first grade. Surely he feels like a first grade now, but it's not until you play a good 30, 40 games where you start going, all right, I'm a first grader now, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Like to be honest, at Sharks I did a little bit. Obviously, when I went to the Tigers and met there, I started being a regular.
Okay.
So I sort of, it was 2004, 2005. I was playing, but I was sort of in and out a little bit.
Okay.
So it probably took me a fair few years to realize I was a regular
grader.
and a big part of the team.
Okay, so also on the end of a leaping elbow from Hopewadi. Walk us through that, bro.
Can't remember it. I was just obviously it's everyone remembers it because it was brutal. Mate, I was a kid. I think I was 18 or 19.
Yeah.
You
would have been, what year was that?
It was only in 2005.
Mate, you would have been 2000. You would have been 19.
Yeah. And,
wow.
I obviously got knocked out. There was blood coming out of my ear, and
mate,
it was my parents were in the crowd, and
far out.
Mum was beside herself.
Scared
apparently.
as, absolutely. As
I was like passed out.
Yep.
And mate, it was.
Was that your first experience of like you would have been on the front, like you know what I mean? It was a big deal, like it was a huge deal, controversy. What was it like? What was the whole experience like for you?
Yeah, well, I remember finishing that game, and so I wasn't on the team bus. I couldn't remember it. I think it got me in the side of the head. Like if you hit my temple or
mate, you could
have died.
Absolutely. Oh, so dangerous.
So and dangerous. Well, he ended up getting. I think he got 17 or 19 weeks, so it pretty much ended his career. But I think that thing, I was driving back and I was vomiting in the car, so I had to go to hospital overnight. They put tests on me and stuff.
No way.
And then
so heavy.
Yeah, I remember leaving hospital and there was like media and that waiting for me. So I had to go to Shark Park and do a quick interview.
Yep.
To let people know I was okay and all that sort of stuff. And
because it was crazy. Like even myself.
Yeah, but mate, I was getting headaches like a month later, running and training. So the Sharks kept me out. I didn't play for quite a while.
Wow.
So I think it was about a month before I started training again.
Wow.
Yeah. So
mate, it's just such a dangerous thing, you know what I mean? It's just so dangerous. How did you go for confidence? You know what I mean? Because I'm sure, like as a forward and an aggressive forward, that impact, you've got to be confident to take the impact. Did it take a while to get that back? Yeah,
I think so. Well, obviously, I had a bit of time out of the game. Had a month off training and obviously came back through reserve grade. And I think once I played that reserve grade game, I realised,
it's all good.
I'm okay. And then a few weeks later, and we were at Newtown at the time, and then I forget how much later it was that I played first grade again. But once I sort of was back out there, it sort of just become a memory,
It did it like... Because it was such an aggressive, unfair act. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's one thing to get knocked out, shotted. Like, and you go, all right, I got shotted, fair play to you or whatever. But did it kind of affect the way you approach things going forward in the sense of like, you've always got to worry about like this kind of feeling that you've got to worry about that happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not really?
No, I don't think so. Like, you've watched that many games. Mate, that's once in a... Yeah. I don't think I've seen a shot like that since. You know what I mean?
No way, it was crazy.
Like, so you sort of realise, it's very rare that's going to happen again. But, I probably did dent my confidence for a little bit. But, once you get a few more games under your belt,
you're all good.
Sweet,
Mate, I think the most interesting thing for me was, like, obviously that you're okay. But just the controversy around it as a young man, having to deal with that, would have been really hard. Because I'm sure there would have been a part of you. I'm sure everything's fine now. But I'm sure the part of you would have been like, bro, like fuck that guy, he just did that to me. You're a young kid, but obviously you don't want to say that because you're not trying to stir controversy, so
exactly.
It's like these mixture of emotions that you're trying to recover,
Yeah.
Crazy times. Okay, so what made you sign with the Tigers?
Yeah, so I was back playing first grade with Sharks that year, and I think Sharks were trying to re-sign me, and there's a few clubs keen on me. And then Tigers were keen on me, so I met South. I think South were really keen. I was a South junior for a while, and my mum's side of the family was South fan, so was sort of attractive. But Souths were at a stage where they were, they were really struggling back then.
Yeah.
They weren't the club they are now and whatnot. And Tigers, most of the Tigers team were about my age. I remember playing heaps of them in junior reps.
And they won the comp 2005 as well.
Yeah. So so I signed with them halfway through 2005 before they'd actually won it. But there was that many young kids, and I used to play against them. Like Western Balmain in my age group were really, really strong.
Okay.
And that's where a lot of the kids were that age. So I thought and Tim Sheens, what Tim Sheens was like. So I just thought, if I go here, they offered me a decent contract and all the kids were at a similar age. I thought, there's a big potential for them to do something really strong, and they ended up winning that year.
And they did. You were right. They bloody won it.
Yeah, but when I signed, mate, no, I don't think anyone in the country thought the Tigers going to win the comp this year.
Well, they changed the game because they had a mobile pack that was getting to the ground and quickly playing the ball.
Yeah.
And that's actually what brought the wrestling, because people were trying to figure out how do we stop this incredible Tigers side that's playing touch footy with us pretty much. Obviously there was still contact in that, but you know what I mean. Okay, so you sign, and what was that like going to the club after they'd won a premiership? Was it pressure or was it not pressure? Or
no, I think there was pressure.
Yep.
Obviously I went there and what they'd done. The only way up is to win another competition.
Yep.
And and you're one of the new signings, but 2006 was I played a bit of first grade, but I actually played a bit of reserve grade that year as well. So
oh wow!
It was a bit of a learning curve, and then from then on after that, I was pretty much a regular. I don't think I played reserve grade again.
Really?
After that year, but yeah.
Wow. So it's kind of like I guess I assume I could be wrong, but that's kind of the year that you really did decide, like, I need to fucking do this right to become a first grader. I'm assuming you stuck with that for the rest of your career, kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, I think at Cronulla, I sort of relied on natural ability a lot. The training and all that was good, but I think once I went to Tigers and learnt rugby league under Tim Sheens and Royce Simmons and there was a play for everything. Every play was a lead up for something.
Okay.
And I'd never played footy like that, so it was a massive sort of learning experience. So
especially as a front rower or even a back rower, like, you're laying the lines, like, so you're so important.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that's probably what you're saying. Like, learning a whole new system, it takes time for a front rower.
We'd have folders for every meeting there, and you'd have to go through video and analyse every single one of your runs, every single one of your tackles.
Wow.
Which I'd never done before. So it was, I really pretty much learnt rugby league, a lot of rugby league that year.
Yeah, okay. So at Cronulla, you were just playing footy by the feel of it. You love it, and you learn it as you go, whereas you became a kind of student of the game, I guess, kind of at Tigers, where you kind of learned.
I think so. Yeah. Well, just there was so much video, and every play was a play for another play, sort of thing. And I'd never played rugby league like that before, so it was a big learning. Yeah.
There's a lot of players growing up that basically you take your head up and you tackle hard, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Okay, so. You're part of that squad. You guys, you just make the finals that year, but you bow out in like the first or second, I think.
What was that? 2006
Broncos won at Broncos.
No, I don't think we didn't make the semis.
You didn't make the semis that year?
Nah.
Wow.
No, I didn't make the semis. I finished the season in reserve grade.
Okay,
year, but there was the first grade didn't make the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So the next year comes around, and that's in that off season where you're like, I'm going to work my absolute butt off here.
Yeah. I think I was knuckled down. I got really fit and stuff like that. So I think, it was probably the next year where I really, I trained hard and wanted to be a permanent first grader.
Mate, it happens so many, like, younger players. Like, it takes them a few years to really realise, like, fuck it, there's certain things I've just got to do to make sure that I'm, like, in the right. You know what I mean? Like, even me, like, my first few years, I was just like playing for the love of it, feeling it. I didn't really think much about systems and training. I just did what they told me to do.
Yeah.
It took 2 or 3 years before I was like, man, I need to have this. I need to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's I think a lot of young kids are, because they're in systems earlier now. They learn earlier than we did coming through.
For sure, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so the next year, what was that like? So you've basically earned your spot in 2007, and did you 17 appearance? How many appearances did you make in pretty much the whole season, 2007?
I might have had a few. I think there was years where I had a few injuries, like, obviously, but that's why I wasn't playing. It was injuries that wasn't the reason I wasn't playing first grade. It wasn't because I was dropped, but I don't know how many games I played, but Yeah, I think yeah.
You know, it's such a long career.
Yeah, okay, it's such
so
a long
hard.
career. I can't
Bro,
remember. I can't remember.
I can't remember either. If someone said
Yeah.
like, 2009, like I'll be like, bro, I don't fucking know, man. I just fucking. Okay, but I guess the next big point is you get selected for 2009. You get selected for City versus Country, and then you get named in the 40-man squad for New South Wales. What was that like for you?
Yeah, that was big. 2009. Yeah, so I played City. I remember playing. I think that might have been my breakout year where I was really playing good footy, and
Yeah.
my name was starting to get mentioned in possible rep jerseys and that sort of stuff. So I think 2009. I don't know if I would have got picked or not, but I was injured around Origin time.
Fuck.
So but I remember playing pretty good footy that year. So yeah, that was probably
because you even got selected. Do you remember where you were when you got the call for the squad?
in the 40-man squad.
Yeah, the 40-man squad. Or was it just
Might have
named
been at training or something. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
I remember going into a meeting and it was Bellamy. Bellamy was the coach.
Yep.
And we all sat down and Bellamy was talking and fuck, was that intense, man? I was like,
Yeah.
wow, this guy's.
He's intense.
You can tell why Melbourne is so good.
100%.
And
I
I
reckon
remember walking out there with like big patches under my eyes,
Oh,
sweating
really?
and going, oh man, this. Yeah.
I reckon he's mellowed a bit over the last few years, but yeah, he's intense,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Is there anyone in the squad that you remember going, that's such and such, man? Like he's a gun.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. There was all those.
Always
sort of
guns, yeah. So what that 2009? Who would have been in that squad? Would have been like I think like Jared Hayne, Gal, Farah. Fuck.
Luke Lewis, all those sort of
Luke
blokes.
Lewis, fuck, he's such a good player. Okay, but later that year, you get named in the Australian for Nations train-on squad and picked in the Prime Minister's. And you got injured, but like again, getting in the New South Wales squad and then the Australian squad. I mean, that would have been huge for you, like huge achievement.
Yeah, it was definitely, sort of a bit of recognition. But again, I think I was injured. I kept getting all these injuries at sort of
The wrong times. Oh man.
Yeah.
But fast forward 2011, boom, make your State of Origin debut, coming off the bench, game 3.
Yeah.
Do you remember like the phone call that you were going to be playing and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I remember I remember I got it. I didn't have my phone on me, and I went to check my phone, and I checked, and I had all these calls and just blown off, and then obviously realised what had happened.
Yep.
But I think that was a 19-man squad or something to go up there for game 3 against Queensland, and that was when Queensland had
stacked.
all these future immortals and whatnot.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think it was the day before the game where Ricky Stewart set them in. So I wasn't sure if I was playing or not, but obviously, you prepare like you're playing, and then someone didn't pass a fitness test or whatnot, and I knew I was playing.
Do you like putting that jersey on? What was that like?
Surreal, man. It was crazy.
Origin, bro. It's so hectic.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Obviously you come off the bench, but do you remember running out? Like, what do you remember from the game?
So I remember. So we went out there first. Obviously, knew some massive boo, and then Queensland came out.
Yep.
And man, I've never heard anything so loud in my life. Darren Lockyer it was Darren Lockyer's last ever Origin game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and mate, the crowd was it was nuts. It was deafening.
Crazy.
And
his last ever Origin game.
Yeah. So I came off the bench, man, and
yep.
the scoreline was already ridiculous by the time I got out there. But it was that Queensland team that was just unbeatable, pretty much.
It's like it's just the chances of so many great players being born in that era. It's just crazy, bro. And also at the end of that year. You become the first ever Tigers prop to be chosen in the Australian squad. I mean, wouldn't it? Like, that's got to humble you. Like, wow.
Yeah, well, definitely. I was obviously pretty proud. Looking back now, it's obviously something you really, look back and, you've achieved that. But, mate, that was massive too, Like, you go on that. We played a game against New Zealand in Newcastle, I think, and then you go on tour to England with, mate, all those Queensland blokes and some of the, those New South Wales stars were in that team, and you look around, and you just think, geez, man, look who I'm playing with,
It's crazy. What do you reckon is there anything you learned off any of the other forwards in that Australian squad where you're like, wow, that's something I need to put
just the intensity and the consistency and the work rate, the way they trained and stuff like that,
it's always like whenever you see these elite people, they're never there by accident, all of them work hard, all of them put everything into
talent gets you so far, man, but the way that these blokes work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so do you remember anything a debut against New Zealand? How fucking good's that as well?
Yeah, that was up in Newcastle. Yeah, I didn't score many tries in my career, but I scored a try that game, So that was crazy. Yeah, that was crazy. I think it was off. think it was Billy Slater, I think.
Yep.
It was just scheming, looking for someone. I just go, I'll hit this.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Benji. Benji was in front of me.
Yeah.
And I go, here
yes.
we go, yeah. It was like 5 meters to the try line. I thought,
Yep.
I'll get this.
I got this here. Surely I got this.
Yeah.
Do you remember singing the anthem or anything like that?
Yeah, I think I remember the haka.
Yep.
So it was the first time I ever, stood against
Sin
the
Hustle.
haka. Yeah.
Was that cool?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and it was up in Newcastle. Actually, I remember it being so hot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was an afternoon game up in
Yep.
Newcastle in November or whatever it was, October.
Oh, November. Far
Yeah, it was
out.
hot, man. So
And scoring a meaty too. Fuck, you would have been layering up to the
Yeah,
boys.
yeah.
Boys,
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
meaty already. Okay, so yeah, 2012. You get injured. Throughout that year, so you kind of like you had this like great momentum.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
get injured, and it's like fuck, like I could have got another spot. In the New South Wales side. But in 2013, you played for Scotland.
No, I was injuries again. I was close to playing for them.
Yep.
Obviously, Dad's Scottish, but I got injured. I think it was at the end of the year when they were going. There was a World Cup,
Yep.
and I had to pull out because of injury. So
Far
missed out on that.
I feel like it's like your rep cursed.
Yeah,
You know what I
maybe.
mean? Like every time rep comes around, you bloody get injured, which sucks because you would have played so much more rep footy, I reckon. So what year was it? So 2011, you had a really good year. You guys made was that the field goal year?
Yeah, no. So 2010, Soward, St George beat us by a point.
Yep.
The game before the grand final.
Okay.
They beat Smack Roosters the next week.
Yep.
And then 2011, Warriors beat us in the last minute.
Oh.
Yeah, in a semi-final as well. So I think those 2 years where probably missed opportunities,
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
we had such a strong side, and
Yeah.
unfortunately it wasn't to be,
Who's the best player you've ever played with? Where you've just gone, mate, this guy is just so good to play with.
Geez, a few. Obviously, Benji Marshall, the
Yep.
stuff he does, creates and just freakish sort of stuff. Probably as a forward, I'd have to say Gareth Ellis.
Oh, really? Gareth Ellis?
Mate,
Yep.
just tough as nails. And
Goes all day.
every time you took the field and he was next to you, you knew you had someone that was just an animal,
Fuck, he was a gun, man. Just
Yeah.
tough. There was a period there where he's just had these these tough forwards, that just went all day. Hopefully he can, this generation of Tigers can, find that because it was just, it was a part of who you were. You just had tough forwards, you had
Yeah.
Heineken there as well, yourself. Okay, so you ended up playing 5 games for Australia. So you played for New Zealand, played against New Zealand. Who else did you play against as Australia?
Yeah. So that was New Zealand and England, I think it was. Yeah.
Yep.
Because
Okay.
there was the 3 nations. I think it was sorry, it was Wales as well. It was 4 nations.
Okay.
So Wales was the 4th team that was over in the UK.
Yeah. What was that trip like? Any memories of the boys drinking the beers or what?
Yeah, yeah, definitely a few good piss ups and that.
Who was tour MVP on the beers?
Jeez, who was
Because
there?
there's kangaroos and then there isn't there the fucking
The emus, they
emus.
call them.
Any emu stories?
I played. They put me in every game, so I wasn't
Okay, so you
it
went
wasn't
the
emu,
emus.
but there was a few
Okay.
good drink ups. But obviously, there was a few characters, like Chocky Watmow and all those sort of blokes.
Oh mate,
You know,
he
they
would have loved
love
it.
a drink and they
Yep.
can go.
So what you reckon? Chocky Watmow MVP?
Yeah, I think so. He would have been right up there. I think.
Any stories of him stumbling home? Bloody pissed and
Nah,
carrying
we'll
on?
keep that there. Right?
Mate, you're old school.
Yeah,
New
yeah.
school be like, yep, this is what happened. Boom.
Yeah.
That's good, bro. There's always the tour stories are always the best stories.
Yeah,
Whenever you
yeah.
hear Joey and Freddie and that talk about it, you're just like,
Mate, I think that generation would have been a lot more wild,
yeah, than us. Yeah,
Yeah,
no camera phones.
Yeah, no camera phones.
Fucking.
It was
different
just
time.
hearsay,
Yeah, there's
was-
no evidence.
No evidence. Yeah,
Didn't happen.
exactly, Yeah.
Okay, so you left the Tigers in 2015, didn't you?
15. Yeah, that was my last year.
But
there,
also, you had a conversion attempt here. West Tigers well ahead and scored regular time. Galloway attempted his first conversion, which narrowly missed. I didn't want to do it, but everyone was team egged me on. Obviously, I'm not a goal kicker. I sort of knew it was my last home game, but it probably didn't hit me until I was out there. Do you remember the conversion?
Yeah. They scored in the corner, so I can't kick, man. Well, yeah. Yeah, it was from right in the corner. I was
Yep.
next to no chance before I kicked it, and didn't look pretty at all, you know.
At least you got that memory though, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Other than just like, bowing out. So 10 years at the club, what was it, what was the reason mutual for leaving, or was it?
Yeah, so I think, who came in? I think Jason Taylor came in, and I think he was trying to move a fair few of the older boys on, and they asked me, and I sort of approached my manager about leaving and said,
so you still had 2 years left in your
I think I had one more year to go.
Okay.
And then I sort of, they said, if you can find another club, we're not saying you have to go, blah, blah, blah. And I just sort of thought, you know what, if that's the direction they want to go, I'll see what's out there.
Okay.
And I've always held a British passport because Dad was Scottish,
Ah, okay.
So then I told my manager, she said, look, I wouldn't mind checking out the UK, see what's over there, if there's any interest, and came back with a few clubs, and then Leeds came in, and Leeds are a powerhouse over there. So I've been to Leeds a few times, and I like the city, so I thought I'll sign with them.
Okay, so it was a pretty amicable,
It was,
no dramas, treated you really well.
Yeah, look, mate, I had 10 years of the club, and
yep, very happy with it.
And I felt like I was probably getting on anyway, in terms of I've been there for a while, and there's some good young forwards coming through, and I think we're going to struggle. There was such a young team that I don't think we're going to do any. It was going to be hard to sort of have any make the semis or things. So
Okay.
I decided, if they want me to go, and if
Sweet.
that's the case, I'll see what's out there.
It's good that so often we see long-term relationships that last year something happens where the club forces you out or whatever, and it ruins a relationship. It's good to hear that it was relatively amicable.
Well, I've always known at the end of the day, you may love the club and have it, but at the end of the day, it's a business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the club's going to run on, and
yeah,
there'll be new players there next year and whatnot. So
yeah, okay. So you signed with Leeds. How long did you sign with Leeds for?
I signed a 3-year deal there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you signed a 3-year deal, and how many finals did you say? Did your team?
Yeah, so I went there. The funny thing is, I signed with them, and then the same thing as when I signed with the Tigers.
Oh no way!
Leeds, so when I signed them half of the year, Leeds went on this. They have a thing over there called the Challenge Cup. They have the League Leaders Shield, which is like the minor premiers, and the Premiership. And at the end of the year, they'd won all three. So I was going into the club where they'd won all those trophies again. So so I went over there, but a bit of pressure again.
Yeah.
Leeds is one of those clubs where they demand success,
Yep, absolutely.
And unfortunately, that first year we struggled a fair bit.
Okay.
They had a fair few of their sort of generational players like the Jamie Peacocks and Kevin Sinfields and Kylie Woolites all retired at the end of their grand final. So yeah,
that's crazy. It happened again. What are the chances of that?
Yeah, I know. and then I remember they advertised me. I think they they put this post out saying, Leeds Rhinos signed Australian international Keith Galloway, and they had me in my Australian jersey like I was a current Australian international. You know what I mean? So I was thinking, man, what about this pressure coming here?
That's great, because you would have played 4 or 5 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, it was about 5 years ago. Yeah,
you're like a mark, you're like the big dog signing. We're gonna win it again, boys.
yeah.
Oh man. So going over there, what was something that you that I guess shocked you or not? Were you shocked at, because they had the legends of their game, did you say, is it Sinfield or?
Well, yeah, Leeds had that. Leeds had in that 10-year period, they won that many trophies.
Yeah.
So, I obviously went over there, and, the Danny McGuire's a legend, he was there, and you have all these sort of players that were so big over there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, was there any differences between the players in the sense of, did they, pretty much the best players in our comp, they had the same attitude towards training as the best players in their comp, you know what I mean? The greats there train just as hard as the greats here.
Yeah, oh, definitely, for sure. Obviously, the thing that shocked me over there was you go into pre-season over there, and it's December over there, winter over there. You can't even train on grass. It's just
freezing.
It's like a different type of training,
Yeah, okay.
A lot of it's on synthetic fields or indoors. But there's definitely, mate. A lot of the English blokes over there are real hard people. They train hard, and they're real fucking tough.
Did you enjoy the banter side of things over there? Because aren't they known for their banter in the?
Yeah. They were pretty funny sort of blokes,
Yeah. Okay, so when you rocked up, that first year you guys struggled, but the second year you just made the finals?
Yeah, so the first year we struggled, and and then the next year, so then I think it was, we went into this thing called the Middle Eights. So if you don't make the top, whatever it is, the bottom 4 from Super League and the top 4 from the division below the championship go into this mini comp to see who goes up to Super League. And we actually went into that comp.
Whoa.
And it was like, for Leeds to be there, it was like a big shock, you know?
Yeah.
So it wasn't the best year at all, but at the end of that year, I actually snapped my Achilles, like second last game of the year, I think it was. And so after that, it was, you know, like an Achilles rupture is massive, you know.
Yeah, especially at that age as well.
Yeah, I had to come back from that. So yeah, I had to do all the rehab and everything to come back to play the next year.
Did you ever consider giving it up then?
Well, I did it because I did the next one the next year. So
you did it again?
Yeah. So the other side went on me the following year. So I got back and I was playing. I got back and actually felt pretty good. Like the first year I sort of struggled a bit. I think it was a bit to adapt. And that second year I felt like I was finding my feet again. I was, you know, I was playing. I thought I was playing pretty good, and we were going really well. Leeds, you know, winning a lot of games. I was, you know, I was starting and everything like that. And unfortunately, the other one went on me as well. So
far out, both Achilles, bro.
Yeah.
And so the second one was that's when you decided to retire.
Yeah, I sort of, you know, I did a lot of rehab and I was having ifs and buts, and you know, I think it was around Christmas time, January. I just pulled the pin. I said it's a bit too much.
So were you living over there, or were you about to fly?
So I came back.
Yeah,
I came back both years for thing, and I was doing a bit of rehab at with the Tigers physio and stuff like that. And I went back, and it was at my age to come back from 2 Achilles ruptures. It was always going to be a big ask. You know?
But you were part of the squad when they won the grand final.
Yeah. So that second year, I was a part of the squad, and so we were having that really good year. And then obviously got injured, and they actually went on to win the league that year. And the coach, Brian McDermott, which was pretty generous, ended up giving me his grand final ring.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he goes, you know, he appreciated all the efforts I'd put into sort of, you know what I mean? And then, so that was pretty massive for me.
Mate, how good's that? Like to have that ring, it does mean quite a lot, you know what I mean? Just to have it there to say that you did it kind of thing.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, what was your favourite memory from over in England?
Favourite memory? Geez. Just probably the same as over here, mate. Just meeting some of the people you meet, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've still got mates that I keep in touch from over there, you know what I mean? And
absolutely.
Got to travel a fair bit, stuff like that.
Who's your favourite place over there? Where's your favourite place?
Jeez, it's all good, man. Everywhere's like 2 hours away, yeah.
It's crazy.
Like
that's a real draw card for them, is the fact that you can just go there.
Like, you know, like if you get 4 days off, you can get on a plane at 8 in the morning. And then by lunchtime you're sitting on a beach in Spain or Portugal or Italy or somewhere, you know what I mean?
That's crazy, bro.
We're here, like we're just so far away from everything.
Like so isolated.
I still reckon Australia's beautiful. Like we've
absolutely.
got one of the best countries on earth, but just the travelling and different cultures experience over there is awesome.
So what do you reckon? Spain, was that your favourite place?
Yeah, probably a place called Lanzarote in the Canary Islands.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a Spanish. It's just off Africa, but it's part of Spain. It was pretty cool.
It's crazy to think like you're just like, it's just off Africa. We'll just fly there and fucking chill out and far out. So it's like a beach kind of.
Yeah. It's Spanish and that, but it's just the weather's beautiful and the water's unreal. And
who was the best English player you played with?
That I played with, probably Danny Maguire or Rob Borrow.
Okay.
Yeah, they're both, you know, when I got there, they were pretty much coming to the end of their career, but
mate, they're
legends over there, you know what
really?
I mean?
Yeah. What do you reckon, what is something the English Super League can do to try to grow and, you know, like really, you know, get, and obviously it's going to be tough to get close to the NRL, but at least, you know, continue to grow pretty much.
Yeah, I think it's just so hard over there because it's real traditional. Like rugby league's it's just towns. It's hard to go outside of their communities.
Yep, and football is so big over there.
Yeah, like football's massive. You know, like Leeds where I played was the only big city that had a rugby league team.
Wow.
Every other rugby league team came from like towns that are just rugby league.
Wow.
And football's not that big there. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's just hard. Like obviously, I think sort of at the start of my career, Super League was massive. The money was bigger. You know what I mean? And it's just. Like even over there, like 3 games a week on TV.
It's not even every game.
Yeah, and all the other games don't even have like there's not even like a what's the thing where they go up to the referee?
Video ref.
There's not even a video ref. It's not televised.
Really? So it's like a Q Cup pretty much.
Yeah, blokes are getting away with anything because there's no video ref. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So it's just they're just a bit behind in professionalism and stuff like that.
Because I think it can only help the game if the Super League is doing well.
Oh, definitely. I mean? Yeah. Well, that's outside of Australia and New Zealand. I know you got like Papua
Little
New Guinea's,
pockets.
but little pockets. But England's the only other country where it's really
Yeah. Well, the NRL has, said they're considering buying a stake in the Super League, and I think it would be actually if we have the money and it can work. I think that's a good idea because it can only help the game if the Super League is doing really well.
Oh, for sure. And look at some of the English talents that's come over here.
Absolutely.
So they're obviously breeding like
Yep.
awesome players, world class players.
Yeah, you could even you can have sister clubs. You could do a whole bunch of stuff. Tours, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the next, what's kind of now footy's over and like what's the have you got any passions that you would eventually like to get into or anything like that or?
Yeah. I'm just dad watching my kids grow and
Yep.
I'm a pretty simple guy, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It gets like that, eh?
I've got a few passions. Obviously, I like training, keeping fit. I used to like traveling before this COVID stuff happened. So
man. Yeah,
things like that, man. So
and so I ask all the boys this: favorite rapper of all time.
favorite rapper, probably Tupac, I'd say.
Yeah, he's a gun.
That's
He just because he had a message and his music is good.
Well, Tupac, and then probably I like the game as well.
The game.
Yeah,
okay,
the game's good, but
gee, you not.
Yeah.
And favorite movie of all time.
Oh, geez, movie. I love Denzel Washington.
Yeah,
I don't think he can do a bad movie.
100%.
And it's hard. It's hard. It's going to be hard to pick one of his movies.
Yeah,
so I'll just say he's my favorite actor, which you didn't ask, but I'll say that.
No, that's a good answer.
Probably Braveheart.
Braveheart.
Being part Scottish is probably one of my favorites.
So Denzel, anything Denzel in or Braveheart?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Denzel. I always say this: Denzel can make a bad movie good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if he's in it, he'll make it good.
He's the best actor of all time.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Who's the biggest larrikin you've ever played with? Pest even.
Oh, geez. Well, we had heaps of tigers, eh? Liam Fulton.
Massive pest?
Larrikin. He's not really a pest.
Okay, just larrikin. Okay.
Yeah. Bryce Gibbs a massive pest. But he's funny too.
Yep.
Bo Ryan's a larrikin.
Yeah.
Chris Heineken was a larrikin.
Ryan's a pest too.
Yeah. So, mate, that when I was with that Tigers in that, the 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
Like it was funny. Every day at training was funny as that.
Yeah, it's fucking cool, bro. Like, and you name those names, and there's such a strong squad you've had. Like, you're totally right. There really was an opportunity there for you to potentially even win it.
Yeah.
It seems like forever ago now, but it was such a strong squad. Like, Benji in his prime.
Yeah.
Farrow as well, fantastic. Crazy. If everything happens, who do you reckon? Who are you going to predict to win the comp next year?
Jeez, probably get Melbourne again. Eh?
Melbourne, yeah. I mean,
it's probably if you're gonna. It's probably a safe bet because they're always there or thereabouts,
Fucking oath. They're incredible. Bro, thank you so much for coming on the potty. I appreciate it.
No, awesome, man.
And what a career, bro. What a career.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
Boom.